What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Headshot and today we're going to talk about the wonderful, amazing Walther PPQ M2. So you may be thinking, why are you already calling this gun amazing and wonderful? Well, we have experience with this gun. The last time we actually reviewed the Walther PPQ M2 version, we rented the gun from the range and we did the review right there. So it's time to revisit this, and this is a Patreon or SHOT Team selected gun, and we do these kind of things whenever we can. Let the SHOT Team pick the firearm, and y'all wanted to see the Walther PPQ M2. So let's go ahead and get started. If you would like to support what we do, join our community, maybe help us choose our next firearm for a review, come over and check us out on Patreon. I have the link down below in the description for you. Come over, multiple tiers set up for you, whatever works for you, and join our awesome community. For the box, of course, you're going to get paperwork. You're going to get a manual. Let me show you that real quick. Pretty nice manual. It's going to go over all the warnings, safeties, everything you need to know about the gun. And then one nice additional thing that Walther does is they show you the grouping out of the box. All right, PPQ. They have the serial number on there, of course, 9x9. They have the person's name in German, and they show you the group. All right, pretty good. And I can attest that the Walther PPQ is amazing and wonderful, like all the things I just opened up the video with, because it has one of the best triggers on the market out of the box. All right, here is the gun. You're going to get, of course, the gun, two 15-round mags if you don't drop them all over the place, two 15-round mags if you're in a free state, of course. You're going to get a assist loader, all right, and extra back straps right there. So, PPQ, gun's been out for a while. Of course, it started with the M1 version, which had the paddle magazine release, and then they changed it to suit the American market, which is now a standard button-style magazine release that is reversible. Let's take one of the mags out, put the lock back in there, move the box off to the side, and talk about the gun. All right, features here really quick. Barrel length 4 inches. Overall length is 7.1 inches. Width is 1.3 inches. All right, kind of wide. It is definitely a wide style gun. 24.5 ounces unloaded. Polymer lower, of course, and 5.3 inches high. Let's compare that to a Glock 19, which is probably one of the best size guns. We'll do them slide to slide like this so you can see. All right, PPQ is a little bit longer. PPQ is a little bit wider. Both 15-round guns, and I know the PPQ is, yeah, just a little bit taller there, probably about a half of an inch. So these kind of dimensions, when you're talking about this size of gun, for carry, I know a lot of people do say they carry the 19, and I'm sure, you know, there are a lot of people that do. It's a lot of gun to carry every single day, I'm not going to lie. So these kinds of dimensions, at this point, if you're solely dedicated to carrying this size of gun, that right there and a little bit more weight is probably not going to bother you too much. For me, this gun stands out really at the range, home defense, competition, things like that. Let's talk about some of the features here. So you're going to have front and rear slide serrations. Of course, the Walther logo is in the front serrations. Standard style Picatinny rail, squared off trigger guard comes up. The gun, it's one of those guns, man, you pick it up in your hand and it really fits like a glove. The stippling on the grip is it's subtle enough to where, you know, if you were to carry it or if you're shooting at the range, you're not going to notice this. It's not going to eat up your hand like a CZ P10C or a SIG or an M&P M2.0. It's not going to tear your hands up like that. But again, it's got enough grip texturing in there where it just feels really good, and it's going to keep the gun locked into your hand really nicely. 3-dot sights. And one thing that Walther does with their sights is you have a lot of air in between that front sight. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, you'll find that picking up the sights are really easy. And I showed that in our Patreon video, how easy it is to get a good sight picture with this gun. Of course, you have your slide stop on both sides of the gun. So left-handed shooters, you can reverse your magazine release. And you have your slide stop on this side as well. So you can make it to fit whatever, right or left-handed shooters. And then out of the box, you do have a slight hump back here. All right, and you can adjust that, of course, with the other two. One of them being a more subtle grip texturing, and one of them being a little bit larger in the grip texturing with more of a beaver tail back here. Okay. And the way you do that, I'm not going to do that in this video, but you're going to push this pin out right here, and then this will slide off, and then you can put your new back strap on there, and you do have a lanyard hole back here. And that is pretty much it. Big, large extractor here, and from the PPQ 45, the original PPQ M2 that we did at the range, and we did another one, the PPQ Q4 tactical model. I cannot recall a single issue I've ever had out of these guns. Super reliable, made in Germany, and you do have the nice German stamping on the side of the gun, which accents it well, I think. Now on the rear sight, you do have a windage adjustable knob right there, and there are a bunch of sight options for this gun, and there's a lot of options straight from the factory. Law enforcement versions, there's 10-round versions if you live in a restricted state. There's long slide versions with the 5-inch. You have a lot of options. And then, of course, you have the PPQ Q5 steel match gun. And really, this PPQ, in my opinion, really set Walther apart, because now you have a gun with a single action style trigger and a striker fired gun. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But that trigger is awesome. Undercut under the trigger guard. You'll notice that you got a really flat spot up under here, so you can get your hand high up on the gun. And it feels really good. Let's break it down here really quick. And again, this is a revisit of this gun. So there may be some details that I missed that I covered in the first video, but it's been a long time since we visited the original, or not the original, but the M2 version of the PPQ in 9mm. And we plan on doing some comparisons with this gun as well. So we are definitely not done with it, not even close. So if you want to break this gun down, of course, you want to make sure it's clear. You have a takedown notch here, takedown notch here. Make sure it's clear, of course. Pull it back on the slide, and it comes right off. Single captive recoil spring, and they actually do Tenifer coat the barrel slide. All of your action parts are Tenifer coated with a matte finish. All right, there's your guide rod, and it is polymer. Barrel comes out. There you go. Really easy to keep clean. Striker block is right there. All right, so you can see how that works. And of course, here's the bottom of the striker. And just like a lot of the striker fire guns that we've seen, it does not look much different. One thing that is different is the trigger. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a few shooting clips here. And then when we come back, we're going to test the trigger on a trigger gauge scale that we have. We didn't do that in the first video. We're going to do it in this one. See what it pulls at. And then when we come back, we'll talk about pros and cons and our overall opinion of the Walther PPQ M2 version. We will see you guys in a minute. Nice shots. All right, we got the PPQ, the M2 version out here today. We're gonna try 50-yard shots. I loaded up 12 rounds, so we will see how we do at 50 with this one. Missed that last one there. So I missed 3 out of 12. Not too bad. With the PPQ, one of the best triggers on the market. You really feel like you can hit pretty much anything at any distance with this little handgun.
Good.
All right, so do you ever pick up a gun and right out of the box you just feel like you can hit anything? Give you a little story. While we were shooting, I was doing some 50-yard shots with the SIG P365 XL. We were already in position, so I said, well, let's go ahead and do them with the PPQ. All right, 50-yard shots. It's been, I don't know, a year since we had a PPQ on the table. Maybe a little bit less, but it's been a while. 50-yard shots right out of the box, 9 or 10 out of 12. I mean, that's pretty good with a pistol, you know, and first shots in a long time. And I just feel like I can hit anything at the range. I mean, any target, anytime. This is one of those guns that you can just do it. And if you don't have one of these in your collection, if you don't think, you know, I got enough striker fire, I have enough pistols or whatever. If you're a competition shooter, maybe the Q5 Match is a better gun, maybe, but you got to have a PPQ in your collection. I'm telling you, whether it's 45, 49, whatever, this is a sweet shooting gun. All right, well, let's check the trigger here. Again, it is striker fired. A little bit of take up there, and it breaks. Reset right there, and it breaks. Very nice trigger. Let me show you where it pulls. 5 pounds 4 ounces. Try it one more time. 5 pounds 1 ounce. So it's just one of those guns at the range. If you've never shot a PPQ, you should definitely put one in your hands. Now, there are a couple of guns that I've reviewed over the years. The CZ P10C, the HK VP9 SK, and the VP9 that have these similar really nice striker fire triggers. But this gun, it just stands apart with the trigger being superb in every aspect. And when you compare it to something like the Glock, where modifications and things like that, a lot of people do that right out of the gate. They'll modify their triggers. They'll do this. They'll do that. This gun, I don't feel like it needs a lot. All right, there are some pros. There are some cons. We'll talk about that here in a second. But when it comes to standout guns that I've ever had and reviewed on this channel, the PPQ is still one of the top guns on there on the list. And there's plenty of caliber options. There's plenty of different variations of the PPQ. But at its core, this gun has been an awesome one. All right, and it was based off of the P99, which was a double to single action gun. And then in 2011, of course, the PPQ came out, and it's been up there. I don't think Walther in general gets the kind of recognition that, in my opinion, they deserve. But when it comes down to it, anybody that's owned or has a PPQ will tell you that the trigger and the way this gun shoots is just awesome. All right. Now, some people will talk about the higher bore axis and how it sits higher in my hand and things like that. To me, it may have a little bit more muzzle rise than a Glock, but to me that those little kind of details are very minor and pretty much insignificant whenever you take this gun to the range and you start shooting it. Such an awesome gun. Mrs. Heckshot loved it as well. And it's just one of those awesome shooting guns with a great balance. Doesn't hurt to shoot. Feels really good. Love it. All right, let's talk about the pros. And number one pro, the trigger. No modifications needed. You don't have to buy a trigger kit or anything like that. This gun, right out of the box, you're going to pull it and you're going to be like, holy cow, that is an awesome trigger. And it's even better at the range if you're a competition shooter. If you need something for the house and you want to know that you can put shots on target, the PPQ is definitely a good one. Size, weight, and capacity ratio for this size of gun, which is a smaller to full size type of gun, I'd say it's pretty good. You know, it's a little bit on the chunky side. It's a little bit, has a little bit higher bore axis. A little bit ugly in its own kind of way, but it's awesome. All right. I think it looks good. It feels good. And even in its little bit of ugliness, I think it has a good balance to it. Front and rear slide serrations work as they're supposed to. You also have a loaded chamber indicator. All right. Let me show you the loaded chamber indicator here really quick, pointed in a safe direction, of course. See that little red indicator right there? That's your loaded chamber indicator, okay? So it's really subtle, it's out of the way, but you look down really quick, all right, the gun's loaded. You should be checking anyways, but it is a quick little indicator that you have a loaded round in the gun. Sights, although they are polymer, they do pick up really nicely, and it's really easy to pick up your sights and transition from target to target, which is a good thing. And overall, the grip texturing, absolutely love it. It's that perfect balance of keeping the gun locked in your hand and not, you know, tearing your skin up or anything like that, or being uncomfortable while you're at the range. Slide serration, slide stop, works really good. If you want to drop the slide and use it as a release, you can do that. And what I love about the slide release or slide stop is how wide it is. All right, so I can just easily flip my thumb up, not too small, just big enough, same size on both sides. So if I need to drop it with my left hand, I can do that. The manual arms on this gun, if you're, let's say you're teaching somebody, and this is another good thing with the PPQ, if you want to teach somebody to shoot a 9mm, this is going to be one of the best options because they can get to the controls and you're going to make them feel pretty good when they shoot that, you know, when they pull that trigger and they have shots on target already. That's going to be a huge booster in motivation and just make them feel really good, because this is one of those guns you can really teach people on and let them have a good time while they're doing it. Other than that, there are a couple of cons. All right, plastic sights right out of the box, that's not the best thing in my opinion. Plastic guide rod, a little bit bigger than your Glock 19. Okay, if they were to shrink this gun down just a bit in some areas, especially in the grip, you'd really have an awesome and perfect size gun. Even though this gun is not bad in its configuration, they're of course competing with Glock, and to trim things up a little bit in the weight and grip department would not be a bad thing. Other than that, the only other con I can think of is Walther does not have a true single stack or maybe like a 10-round version of this gun. How awesome would that be? A ton of people would buy and carry that gun. All right, a shrunk down 10-round version of the PPQ, all the way around. You know, they have the PPQ SC or subcompact, which I know is 10 rounds, but I'm talking about a true single stack type of gun. They have the PPS as well, M2, which is close, but I'm talking about the same trigger, same everything on the gun, except slimmed down really as far as they could go and squeeze 10 rounds out of that gun. I think this would be amazing, but, you know, I'm not an engineer at Walther. You know, it's not my money I'm spending, and I'm not smart enough to design a gun. All I'm telling you is if this gun was trimmed down just a bit, it would be one I would not hesitate to carry at all. Mrs. Heckshot feels the same way. Absolutely love the PPQ. If you want a home defense, if you want an amazing competition gun, if you want a training gun for your kids or your wife or whatever, This gun is a good one. Home defense, range, whatever you need it for. The PPQ is awesome still, and I will still stand by that, of course. We love it. Let me know what you think about the PPQ down in the comments below. If there's any guns that you would like to see us compare this to, leave them down below or come over on Patreon, and we will, of course, try to get those done for you while we have the PPQ in-house. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.